Hi, welcome to Design It with Tammy Gibbs. I'm Tammy, and thank you for joining me for this video. Today, I'm going to be doing a second video all around the Etsy's new creativity standards that they have recently released. Yesterday, I did a video on that, but it was from the perspective of the AI artist and those who create like commercial clip art, or they're creating clip art to use in their end products like invitations and things like that, but they don't maybe use any purchased clip art or whatever. They're using their own art in their own designs and their own invitations and stuff like that. And so if you're going to be selling your AI art, then basically the gist of it is you need to be the prompts that you're creating your art from must be your original prompts, however you get them. So if you use some prompts that are basically kind of like the sample prompts that are inside my playbooks and you want to use them, then you would have to change them. And of course, I went into great detail about that being basically why I created the playbooks, was so that people could learn to prompt using the word banks and the phrasing and all that stuff. So go and watch that video if that, is part of your niche and speaks to you, because it goes into great detail and I do examples and show people how to use the playbook to create and turn those prompts into something that is uniquely their own. So try watching that video. For this one, I off of that video, I had one of my viewers that asked some very, very good questions, and I felt like it was probably worth making a video on this just to be a little bit more precise about what my interpretation is and how I see it. So it all boils down to whether you're a creator or a reseller. I believe that Etsy's goal in this is to get a lot of the strictly resellers off the platform. I've watched a lot of other, I guess, Etsy experts or whatever, people that have been doing it a lot longer than I have, speak on this subject, and they tend to. It seems like they agree with that. That's what they're trying to do, is basically do what a lot of the sellers have asked them to do, and that is crack down on people that are doing nothing but reselling a product. Let's just say, they go and buy a mug and they are just selling that mug. They didn't do anything to creative to that mug. They did not add any creativity or design ability to that, and yet they're selling it on a creative platform, or a what they've always said, like a handmade, crafty type platform. And I think they're trying to get back into that, where they are encouraging the individual person to design and use and contribute so that all of the items that are being sold are more unique. So, for instance, if you, as a seller, have been purchasing clip art, let's just say like these huge t-shirt packs, and they have all the designs on them. It is my interpretation that now you cannot sell those if you just put it on a shirt and it's not your original design and you didn't do anything to change the design up or anything like that. You're just taking like these, maybe ordering a pack of standard type. I'm trying to think of the word. The decals, the transfers. Sorry about that. My brain completely went crazy. So if you're just doing, buying a pack of transfers and then pressing them onto shirts and then putting them on Etsy, I believe that you will probably find that that is not what they're wanting to have as part of their compliance, that wouldn't comply. Now, if you purchase designs and then you change them in some way, if you add something, let's just say you purchased a design and not the actual transfer. And then you took that design, that clip art piece, and then you added things and added your own saying and made it your own. And then you had a transfer made, and then you transferred it onto a product. Then I think but that is getting a little outside of what my expertise is. So I want to speak to mainly the clip art people and people that are maybe selling invitations, because I feel like in journals and things like that. Okay, so from the clip art creator's perspective, if you are creating the clip art, then this does affect you because it affects your customers and your end user. These are the things you need to know so that you know how to sell your clip art to them. And then you're taking care of yourself because you're making sure that you have gone in and changed any prompts that you're creating your clip art with, and you're making those your own creations as well. So once you've done that, then now we're going to talk about your end user. If you're the end user, you purchase this clip art and you don't make your own clip art, you have two choices. Either you begin to make your own clip art using something like Artistly, and I do have a link down in the bottom, more about that at the end. But if you want to continue, not everybody wants to do that. And that's why it's great to have commercial clip art, because it does save you time. You don't have to go through all that creative process. I used to own a balloon and gift basket business, and I used to say that, florists and balloon designers were different because balloon designers had to do extra steps. A florist has a flower that has a stem, it has leaves, it has the bud, and then they just put it in and design with it. But a balloon artist that was going to create an arrangement had to blow the balloon up. They had to put it on a little saucer, then they had to stick it on a little straw and create that element that then they could take and then put into an arrangement. So there was more work involved. And that's kind of the way designing for, let's see, your journals, your junk journals, or your invitations, your wall art, your let's see, invitations, wall art, your planners, all of those things, all those products like that, even t-shirt transfers. If buying commercial clip art will help you speed along, because you already have the elements, and then you're putting those elements together. For those of us like me that do all of it, it does take me longer because I'm creating all of the elements and then I'm designing with them. So there's definitely a need for commercial clip art, and there's definitely going to be designers that want to jump straight to the design process and go ahead and create their invitation, and they just want to go in and look and find those images. And that's where the clip art, the commercial clip art sellers come in. So if that is what you do, you buy commercial clip art, and you don't have any interest in designing the individual elements, then you just want to use them, then this is how you need to do it. And this has really not changed a lot from what most commercial licenses tell you to do with them anyway. When you buy a pack of commercial clip art, most of them will have a part in their license that says that you cannot sell them individually as clip art. So you're not then you would be a reseller. If you bought a pack of clip art and then you resold that pack of clip art, then you would be a reseller and not a creator, because you didn't create anything with it. You just resold something that belonged to someone else or that someone else created. So therefore, Etsy doesn't want any of that. They don't want you, which is one reason that they actually have they've actually taken and sort of cracked down before, because your private label stuff, where people just basically they bought it and then just basically they resold it. Planners, a lot of these things, templates and things. they frowned upon that already. It was in one of the earlier releases that they did not really accept that. Now, have I still seen that on the platform? I have. Can you still, I mean, I know I belong to something called Secret Weapon. I don't use it a lot just because I'm busy doing a lot of other things, but they do have some wonderful products. And can you use something similar to that? I would say yes, you could still use the service if you have that, but the way I would suggest that you use it is not going to be as is. It's going to be changing the heck out of those things, even down to dissecting and then just using the elements to rebuild your pages and stuff. Like, for instance, if you've got, and I'm going to show you some of this in a few minutes. So let's get started with what Etsy actually said. Basically, your products must reflect your original design. So what we need to do now is identify what your product is, because the question was, okay, somebody purchases one piece of my clip art, and then do they have to change my clip art? Like do they have to like change it before they can use it? And that's not the case. They just have to use your clip art in their new product in a way that is not just slapping that one image on a card or something like that, or a mug or whatever, and then just selling it as is, because that's basically reselling. So they would just need to use that piece of clip art with other pieces of clip art, with fonts, with, depending on what the product is, and taking it and doing that with it. So, like, for instance, if someone buys a pack of a seamless design or something. So, you can use that seamless design in something else, but would it be permissible to just take that seamless design and then, put that seamless design on a pillow just as it is, and then turn around and sell the pillow on Etsy? I'm not going to say yes or no, because I think that it probably would not. So that will affect some people that, like I said, do the POD through Etsy. Now, does it mean that they can't take, if you have authorized them, and depending on, I believe that most seamless patterns are mostly sold to people to be just used personally, and that would be fine, because it wouldn't matter, because that person's not going to come back on Etsy and then try to sell the pillow. But they could take and make a pillow for their home or for a gift or something like that. So we do get into some complications here as to identifying the product origin, and all of that. So products must reflect your original design. Okay, so for AI artists who sell clip art, their product is the actual clip art, which means that they have to have that creative input into their prompt to make it where it fits this criteria. And then, so it's original versus passive resale. If you're not doing anything to that product physically, to make it into that product, then, and that design, then that's where you're going to run into problems. But most of you, the good thing about it is you're already doing that, because the licenses for commercial clip art already told you that you had to change and create your new design with it. If you go on to Creative Fabrica and you look up their license, it gives you examples of what this is. No, don't do this. And this is how it would be acceptable to use the clip art. So I think for the most part, most of you who are using clip art, commercial clip art anyway, are already doing these things with the commercial clip art that you are purchasing. So I don't believe it is a very widespread thing that will cause a lot of you a lot of problems. But with this video, I'm going to show you some ideas. Maybe there are things you're already doing. Maybe there are things that you haven't thought about doing, or how you haven't thought about it. So here are some examples that that kind of break the rules, is reselling templates without any changes. This goes back to your PLR, your private label rights, or your reuse rights, or whatever like that. taking a template, and honestly, most of the templates that are sold, even with commercial use and stuff, you have to do something else with it. You can't use it and it's as is state. So be sure to read your licensing and then also take into consideration not only just the license that the creator has put out there for you, but also these creativity standards that Etsy has if you're going to be selling it on Etsy. And there are probably a lot of people that don't sell on Etsy, and this is not going to affect you at all what you do with it, only the creator's license at that point. But if you're going to resell on Etsy, then you need to know. Okay, so listing AI generated art with no customization. That's back to your prompts and changing and making your unique art with using an AI generator. And then examples that follow the rules: using clip art as a part of a larger layout, like a planner pages and cards and invitations, where you're going to be doing a design for these things and just using the individual clip art elements together as a whole into the design that you come up with. Editing AI art to fit a theme or message, and that goes back to your prompting again. Like for instance, if you there was a basic prompt and then you went and changed it and you added that you want it to be a puppy dog wearing a Santa hat or something, so you're changing it for a theme or a message. You're enhancing and therefore changing the prompt and changing the end product. Okay. And then designing from scratch, even if you're using tools like Canva or Artistly. Okay, and that's how you get, you're going to be designing and creating these elements from scratch. Is kind of a little bit misleading, because if you're using clip art of any sort, you're going to be using pre-made elements. And so, but your design is coming from scratch. You have a blank page, you're going to start putting those elements together and then creating something. So I'm going to go into Canva, and we are going to go into an invitation. Let's see, 5x7. We'll just do a 5x7. There we go. Okay. So since I already have a lot of clip art, we're just going to assume and treat it all as um, clip art that maybe I purchased. Most of this, I made all of this, but we're going to use it and pretend that I purchased this. So I will be treating it in the same way I would if I had bought a commercial clip art package. So I'm just going to show you. We're taking a plain, thing, and you may have some actual templates that you've created of your own, and that's perfectly fine. You could already have all kind of elements that you have done. You can go back and use the same. A lot of times I have a whole folder that has a lot of different invitations, and I may just drag and drop some things onto that same thing layout, so I may use the same phrasing or layout of fonts, all of that kind of thing. So anyway, so we're going to go into here, and we're going to do let me just look and find something really cute. So let's do the Froggy birthday bundle. Okay, so here's a bundle of different images in this pack. So this is a clip art pack that I created. So let's just say we want to design a happy birthday card. I'm going to go up here into my bundle, and I'm going to look for the clip art. So let's just say I want to add this happy birthday banner here. I'm going to go into here. I'm going to choose a background color. This is the photo color. So let's just say we want to use the blue maybe. And then I'm going to go back over here. Actually, I'm not going to do it as a background color. Let me just change that back. Let's go back. Okay. So what I am going to do is I'm going to go over to the tools and grab a shape. Okay. So we're going to grab a shape because that way we can now make that a little more transparent. So we can make it a different shade so it's not quite as. And then I'm going to change the color to that color that I had, which was the blue. There we go. So, and then we're going to position all the way to the back. So this is on the front. Okay, so we've got happy birthday. Now we're going back into the pack that we were at, which is the Froggy Party birthday bundle. Okay, so now we're going to choose, let's just say, this bunch of balloons, and we're going to put it here. We're going to move the happy birthday. We're going to take the little things off of it here and off of it here. And then we're going to copy that. We're going to let's go ahead and get our elements out before we go do anything else. And just play with it. See, what we're doing now is we're designing. And that's all they want you to do. They want you to do some designing. And so when you do this, then you're being compliant. Because you're taking those clip art elements and you're making something new, something different. So this is not my clip art pack. This is now your design. You know, however you want to design it. And that is the magic of the whole thing. So that's what you're doing when you're creating. You're now have a really cute design that you created. Yes, it may have been using different elements, but that's okay because the design itself is yours. So, in a sense, that's how you use the clip art. And that's what they mean when it needs to be your original design. This is now your original design because you may have used elements that were mine, but you put them together in what your product is finally going to be. Now, let's look into that whole PLR thing and let me show you some ways that you can use those, okay? Now, let me just go into, I've got some secret weapon ones. Okay, so how can you use these? Now, when it comes to a lot of the book stuff, I'm going to let the secret weapon, Jessa and Evelyn, I'm going to let them speak to how their products can be used in this light of this new thing. Now, if you own that, you don't have to sell on Etsy those items. You could go to a different platform if you're wanting to sell them as is or with very little editing. If you want to sell things and still use your membership to sell on Etsy, then you may end up using them in a different way. For instance, let me go back into Canva and then we'll okay, we'll go into some and I'm just going to give you some ideas and so um when it says change, that you need to change things. So let's just pick out something that you may want to these are just some that I've downloaded for myself. So like for instance, this is just a basic planner type thing, calendar pages. Okay. So, you can take these elements and then you're adding to them. You're taking the base template and then you're adding, but you're going to need to really add to them. So my suggestion would be to stay into compliance, and this may differ from other people's interpretation of that. And so I'm going to be very fluid with this and liquidy and tell you to seek advice from people that are in this planner niche. I know what I would do with it to be able to use them, and you see how these things are all done here. Like for instance, you've got schedule and you've got the things. You can still use all this to save a ton of time. So you could take and copy this. You can change things around. So I just duplicated that page. So let's just say, and instead of doing this, you took and you moved elements of it around, and you maybe use this and group it, and then you move it here. Let's do this. That'd be simpler to start with a plain page. Okay, so let me just show you how that maybe you could use some of this stuff, because you want to use things the right way, but you also want to. Okay, so we group that. Then we could bring this down here and we could put it perhaps in the middle. And use it. We could take these out. Let's see, let's ungroup it. You could take these out and you would still have some work that was. Sometimes it ends up being more trouble just to delete all the stuff, so and then just starting over. So you always have to worry about your time. And I feel like most people that use Secret Weapon may be using it on different platforms, because I don't really think they're selling things as is on Etsy using those things. I believe that most people that are using PLR are using them and then adding their own content information inside the skeleton of the planner templates and the calendar templates and stuff like that, and making it a part of a much larger product, like a part of a membership, or they're doing a course and they want to give a little book with their course. So those are ways that you can use that. But here is just a way that, if you're just trying to want to do something different, let's just say this was going to be let's go back to the folders and then projects and then go to Christmas. And then let's see, folder. Let's just say we wanted to do something. We could take some clip art and move that background. Now, if this was someone else's clip art, and I was wanting to use it this way, I would probably design a little bit differently. I would put like a cat. Well, that one's kind of messed up. Let me choose another one. Let's do this one. Okay, so I would do like a kitty cat here. And then I would do maybe this kitty cat here. Move the background there. So I would add and make those. Then I would probably, and I'm going to show you just a little trick I would go in and maybe erase all of this. Erase all of this. I don't want to have to go into somewhere else to grab some little elements. So, okay, so then take it back to there, remove the background, go up here. Now, I would normally just go in and find some somewhere else, but I just wanted to do it quickly for you to show you what you can do. See, I would do things like this, copy it, and then maybe flip it around this side. Okay, so now I have basically so now I've created there we go. We've created a new design, and what we could do is make this into like a little to-do list or something. Grab some text and just put my Christmas to-do list. I'm just making stuff up, y'all. Y'all know me. Not scripted at all. Okay, so then you can put this here. This gives you the little format here for a list and a place for a checkoff. You could even put little boxes here. Under tools, we do a little box, and we just do a little box. And we make it clear, but we put a little light. And you may even be able to find something that already had one of these little boxes. Just create your little boxes. And then there they go. You can do that. You could turn this into, of course, a pretty font. Always, if you're selling something, use the free fonts that don't have the little special um, they used to have, oh yeah, these like this that have the crown or you should not use those in your actual things that you're going to be selling. So let's just do this one. Make it bigger and make it maybe green. Let's go and find the green within our, and this is how we've converted and created something new. And like I said, I mean, this is just an example of what you can do. You could go back in. I would probably make these, a little bit heavier, and make those be darker and stuff like that. So there's a lot that you could do with that. But that's just something, if you have a lot of products like this at home that you've already purchased, that you just don't want to completely lose the usability of them, then think outside the box of how you can use those products. And look, now go back to Secret Weapon. I use that one as an example. I'm not planning to sell this, but go back to them, ask them how you're allowed to use their products, and whether you have to keep them intact and only add things to them, or if you can break down the elements and create new things with them. They'll still be within their rules as what you can and can't do. So make sure you read all the licenses of what you can do. But what I would say is go to those PLR people, the ones that you've purchased those items from, and then ask them how they envision, are they going to come out with new clarifications within their uses and their licensing to advise you how you can continue to get use out of those products for yourself. So anyway, that's just a different way. So I think that really I've kind of shown you the differences now between what, like for instance, let's just do a thing here. Let's do another page, and let's just say I will take the same cat. And so if I wanted to just put this cat on this note card, on here, and let's just go back over here and let's go to mock up t-shirt. Okay. I'm in the wrong place. I need to be under apps. Sorry about that. I clicked the wrong thing. My apps, I've got mock-ups. Let's find a t-shirt. Okay. And I will illustrate what I was talking about with apparel. Okay, so let's just drag. Let's choose this one. Okay, so we've got a whole little thing here. So let's move him out of the way. So what they don't want you to do is just grab they don't want you to grab, and I'm going to use just my uploads just because it's easier. They don't want you, this is my image. They don't want you to grab her as is and put her on a t-shirt and then sell her. Or grab her from my pack and then resell her as the clip art or the transfer design to go on a t-shirt. They would want you to instead take her. You can still take her. We could remove the background, and we could make some other transformations. to her. We could change and change the color scheme. That would be one way we could edit her. That I don't believe would be enough, but you could do it just to enhance your design. You still need to have a design. So instead, you could have her and have go into the text and create. So we'll just do promoted, and let's find a font. To Big Sister. And let's just say we did that and we put it into a okay, so now we've got it in a shape we can work with. So this looks more like a t-shirt kind of thing. Okay, so promoted to Big Sister. And what we could do is we could then go into this toolbar and the shapes, and we could find a heart. There's a heart somewhere. Now, I personally, I don't use Canva for these kind of shapes and stuff. I would probably make this or have this somewhere else, but I'm just kind of showing you some things that you could do to actually, if you're trying, what they're kind of talking about with the t-shirts and stuff. So we're going to send that to the back, and then we've got her. We're going to make this pink, or let's make it purple. Purple, promoted to Big Sister. We're going to do it like that. And we're going to put her name. Let's see. And this is what design's all about, just playing with it. But this is the way that we can do it. Okay, so promote, let's see, Addie. Addie. Make this bigger. Addie, promoted to, that way then it's personalized, which I doubt that most of you are doing personalized, but I'm just saying that, you could do that, something like that. To Big Sister, and then uploads, let's find something cute to put there. I should have something. You just put a different piece of clip art like that. So then you have a new design because you've used it, but you've added a lot of things to it. You could go back and you could add some ruffles around this, or you could turn this into a different color. You could even remove the heart and, just put this there. There's just a lot of things you could do. So I think I've covered most everything. Please, if you have further comments or questions, please put them down in the comment section. I'd love to address them. If you have an idea for another video, or you have questions you'd like for me to address in a video, if it's at all possible, I'll try to make that work for you. I'd like to encourage you that if you are into AI art, to go back and watch the first version of this that dealt specifically with that, and how the AI artist playbooks that I have in my store that I've created and curated for you can help you transition through this and learn to be a better prompter and a better creator and designer using AI art. If you haven't got Artistly yet, I didn't use Artistly specifically. Well, Artistly was used because I actually used Artistly for any of the clip art that you saw. Any of that clip art is from Artistly. And so that is my go-to, the one that I've always used. Please go back and watch some of those if you want a one payment solution that is not super expensive, that you can create lots and lots of beautiful AI clip art with, or other art with, and do a lot of other things. Check into it. I have lots and lots of videos on my channel for Artistly. Look at the version 5 because that's the latest version. So you're going to get the most current information from that. But I have a link to my affiliate link is down in the description. I have a weekly newsletter. You're welcome to join it for more ideas and information to help you run your business better. And I also have a Facebook group. I would love to have you join it. We do lots of things to do with Canva, Etsy, creating AI art, just lots of things. It's a very creative place, and it's a way that I can interact with you on a little bit more personal level. So anyway, thanks for watching, and until next time, happy creating.